I recognize the member of Fredericton York.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I apologize. That is a rather lengthy motion, but it's been an issue that's been impacting my riding for some time now, and there's a variety of issues that are causing the people of the Estes Bridge Local Service District, in particular the area along the flats just outside of Fredericton, a great deal of angst. And so in order to try and capture as many of their concerns as possible, I did have to write a rather lengthy motion. But I want to take an opportunity first and foremost to thank the local service district members, the chair and LSD members for Estes Bridge, because they've had a lot on their plate as of late. They're working to become part of this new proposed rural community, Nashwauk rural community, and also dealing with a number of land development issues at the same time. And as we know, our LSD members are volunteers, and these men and women have been investing a tremendous amount of their time and taking away from other aspects of their life to make sure that the residents in the Estes Bridge LSD are well represented and that their issues are brought to the forefront. So because this motion is going to span a couple of days, the LSD members will be here when next we talk about this motion. But I thought perhaps it would just be best to go through the various whereas clauses and explain out what the issue at hand is. And the government has been stressing the importance of our LSDs, our rural communities, our smaller municipalities, perhaps to come together and form larger entities than what they currently have, perhaps to have fewer LSDs in number, but a rural community structure that affords them greater opportunity to direct affairs within their own jurisdiction. Now, the Estes Bridge Local Service District wants to or is proposing to merge together with the St. Mary's Local Service District, which takes in much of the Nashwauk River Valley from Peniac right on up through to McLagan Bridge and out the old Route 8 highway, the new 148 highway out into the South Portage area. Also taking in part of the parish of Stanley, so the Stanley is both a parish, it's both a parish and a local service district, an unorganized local service district, and a village. So the term Stanley can be used interchangeably in a few different ways. But they're looking to basically band together, and the whereas clause number 2 is fairly self-explanatory. It talks about the different LSDs and municipal structures in whole or in part that are coming together to form this new area. And of course, in the third whereas clause, we talk about where the Nashwauk, the proposed Nashwauk rural community has been working very diligently over the winter months of 2016 to go out and engage the public and see if this is a proposal that they see value in and one that they would want to see proceed. And the group, there's a small executive group along with a much larger stakeholder group from each and every community within that jurisdiction, and to their credit, they've held meetings in Peniac, they've held them in Estes Bridge, Cross Creek, Stanley, Taymouth, Killarney, and Pepper Creek. And I have to say they've all been fairly well attended, and the points of view differ perhaps a little bit depending on where you go, but the general theme, I think it's safe to say, is that if things have to change, there is an appetite to merge together with the rural areas outside of the city as opposed to potentially being annexed at some distant point by the city. So there is some common ground. There are some shared services there, and they have been meeting, and they've got all of the signatures that the minister requires now from the different local service districts and whatnot in order to be able to proceed. So they've been doing some good work, and it's all volunteer work. And of course, the reason why this is all coming about is because of the Finn report, and basically Finn took a view of what a future viable community needed to have, and the Department of Environment and Local Government have tweaked that a little bit, but basically what you need to have in order to form a rural community at this present time, you need to be able to take in an existing municipality. You need to have a population of at least 4,000 people, and you need to have a tax base in excess of $200 million. So in terms of the Nashwauk rural community, we actually have a population of about 8,000, so double what Finn is requiring. We do include the municipality of Stanley, so we meet that criteria, and we actually have a tax base of about, well, in excess of $600 million. So we easily meet the $200 million criteria. So this is what the Department of Environment says we need in order to be a viable community going forward, and certainly we've met and significantly exceeded each of those criteria. So those wishing to proceed with a rural community after they've signed the petition indicating that there's some interest, the minister, as I understand it, takes those petitions and determines whether or not a feasibility study will go forward. And I don't think I'm putting any words in the minister's mouth there. That work has been done, and the community has gained approval for a feasibility study. So they've got the approval, they've done their homework, they meet the criteria, they've got the approval, and now the next issue is financing. And so where it is known that these projects are taking place, or there's a desire to have them take place, it's factored into their tax rate, and so the process of accumulating those monies, the 35,000 or thereabouts to proceed with a project is actually collected ahead of time, and then if the local service district or districts decided not to proceed, that money would be returned back to them through a reduction in their taxes for a period of time. But that process is underway. So they meet the criteria, they've got the money, and they've got the approval. So the next component that they have to do, I guess, is to proceed with the actual feasibility study, and that's taking place. And when we get to the be it resolved clause, we're saying that because all of this work has taken place, we would like the government, or we would urge the government respectfully to to not proceed with further development in the area until such time as the Nashwauk rural community is in place. So I've prefaced all my comments by giving you an overview of what's been taking place with this Nashwauk rural community, of which the Estes Bridge LSD is part. So now we move to the development issue that's out there, and we see mention of that starting in the 7th and 8th whereas clauses. And so there are actually two operating quarries in the area right now. And one has been around for a fair amount of time. It was out of operation for a while, but it's back in operation now. The second one is a fairly recent addition, but it has been giving the local residents a bit of concern. And of course that concern is amplified by the fact that there may be a third quarry in the not too distant future. And so that's really what the Be It Resolved clause is all about. Given the fact that this work has been taking place to form a rural community, and that they're already having some challenges with certainly at least one of the two quarries that are currently in operation, given the fact that there's a proposed third quarry, the residents are asking, would it be possible to just hold back for a little while? Let us complete the work of forming a rural community before we proceed. But I wanted to stress that we as a region are contributing to the rural economy of the region, to the resource economy of the region, because there are two existing quarries in operation in that specific area. But as I said, we have had some concerns along the way with the largest quarry that's in operation right now. And I've had an opportunity as the local member of the legislature to sit in on some of the meetings that have been held between the residents and LSD members and the Department of Environment and Local Government. And I guess one of the frustrations, I think it's safe to say, on the part of local residents is that they've more or less been asked to be their own compliance officers. They're being asked if in the meetings they've flagged issues that they've had with quarry operation. They're being told that they need to take pictures, that they need to get a landmark in the picture, date the picture, and file the complaint. And so by the time all of that is done and the complaint is filed and the Department of Environment official actually gets out to look at the operation, sometimes the issue is no longer there. The plumes of dust that are generated and whatnot may be there if they don't come until the following day. Some of the issues with runoff may not be visible if they come on a dry day versus a rainy day and whatnot. And I guess I'm not, that's not a criticism of the Department of Environment. I know they have all kinds of files to look after and probably never enough staff to address them all in a timely fashion. But this has been a concern on the part of the residents. The fact that it's not just enough that they phone and flag a concern and have someone come out in a timely fashion. They've got to take time to document it and to build the file themselves. So some of the meetings have been more than a little stressful for area residents. And just moving on to the next whereas clause, part of the frustration, I'm really not trying to criticize the minister. No, and I'm not. I do criticize the minister on a regular basis, but not in this particular speech. And one of the issues, as I see it, is the fact that there is no differentiation between a rock quarry and a gravel pit. And I think therein lies the problem. And if I had to respectfully make a suggestion to the minister, I think it would be extremely well received in the public if there was that differentiation. So okay. So the minister will have his turn, but I guess the environmental footprint associated with a rock quarry is different than the environmental footprint associated with a gravel pit. And so, you know, we can't change the past. We can only influence the future. And I guess what I'm saying, based on the conversations I've had with my constituents, is that this would be a go-forward plan that they would appreciate. Because with a gravel pit, there isn't necessarily a big environmental footprint, but when you get into a rock quarry, you have to do blasting. And so there isn't much of a differentiation between those two until you get up to an open pit mine. And the problem that's been created is that when the proponent for the larger quarry that's now in operation put in their application, and I was there the night of the public meeting, as were many residents, you know, they talked about a gravel pit. And so there maybe isn't as much angst around a gravel pit as there is a rock quarry, but nevertheless, there was a lot of opposition even to the idea of a gravel pit. So, like I said, we can't change the past. We can only influence the future. But we do have all of this activity taking place, all of these volunteers working on the creation of a rural community known as the Nashwauk Rural Community. And it encompasses the area of Estes Bridge, the Estes Bridge Local Service District, that is most affected by the quarries. And as busy as things are now, they're going to get even more busy if a third quarry were to come into operation. So there's some challenges right now with the quarrying activity that's in place. And they're concerned that that's only going to amplify with the third quarry. So we talk about wanting to give an opportunity for local decision making at the local level, and it would appear to me that this would be an excellent opportunity to do that, and it would be greatly appreciated by the residents affected. And I guess that's the reason we're bringing this motion forward. So the area in question is bounded by 620, which is locally known as the Royal Road, the Kingsley Road, the Claudy Road, and Route 105. So it's a rectangular region immediately outside the city of Fredericton on the north side of the city, just beyond where the old Wilkins Mill was. It would be a landmark that many Northsiders and probably a lot of Southsiders would be familiar with. So that's the area in question. And I'm asking on behalf of the residents of that area, would it in fact be possible for us to hold back the approval of any further quarrying activity in the area until such time as the Nashwauk rural community is in place? And we heard in the first whereas clauses, in particular, whereas clause 1 to 6, that work is being done on the part of the proponents of the Nashwauk rural community, and it is moving forward, and it is moving forward quickly. So it's not like the government would necessarily have to wait for an extended period of time. We've been told that we meet the criteria, that we have the approval, that we have the financing. So now it's a matter of actually doing the feasibility study and taking it out for a vote. So to the Minister, through you, Madam Speaker, would it be possible to hold off on any further quarry development in that area until such time as the Nashwauk rural community is up and running? Thank you.